The Great Bubble Race. The sun filtered through the waves, casting a glimmering light across the coral reef as ocean creatures gathered for the annual Great Bubble Race. Contestants had come from all over the sea to test their bubble-powered gadgets in a race through a reef obstacle course. And right in the middle of it all, ready with a beaming smile and a brand new invention, was none other than BubbleBob. BubbleBob adjusted his oversized steampunk goggles, his eyes sparkling with excitement. His gadget, the Bubble Blaster 3000, floated beside him, a contraption designed to propel him forward by releasing perfectly timed bursts of bubbles. Pebble Pete and Inky Ivan stood nearby, cheering him on. "You've got this, Bobs," Pete called, his laid-back grin wide. "Just go with the flow." Ivan gave a slow, approving nod, tipping his small, dapper top hat. "Remember, speed isn't everything, old chum. A bit of finesse will take you far." BubbleBob nodded, tightening his grip on the Bubble Blaster. "Thanks, guys. I can't wait to test this baby out. It's got bubble torque, bubble boost, and even an emergency bubble break. I've been working on it for weeks." The announcer, a large fish with a booming voice, swam to the center of the reef and addressed the crowd. "Welcome, everyone, to the Great Bubble Race. Contestants, take your positions." BubbleBob and the other racers lined up, each with their own unique bubble gadgets. A few had jetpacks, others had bubble skates, and one even had a double bubble scooter. BubbleBob was feeling confident until he noticed the competitor next to him. Finnegan Fong, the sneakiest inventor in the sea, was sporting a flashy bubble cannon strapped to his back. Finnegan caught BubbleBob's eye and smirked, his sharp teeth glinting. "Good luck, BubbleBob. You're going to need it." BubbleBob gulped but tried not to let it shake him. "I've got my friends here to help me, Finnegan, and they've got my back." "Yeah, and we've got style," added Ivan, brushing an imaginary speck off his vest. The race began with a blaring conch shell, and in an instant, bubbles filled the water as the contestants shot forward. BubbleBob activated his bubble blaster, feeling the rush as the bubble propulsion carried him ahead. The reef was a maze of coral arches, narrow caves, and swirling seaweed, and BubbleBob maneuvered carefully, using his bubble brake for control. But just as he was catching up to the leader, Finnegan Fong, there was a sudden burst of bubbles from Finnegan's cannon, obscuring BubbleBob's view. He squinted, barely able to see the swirling cloud. "Watch out, Bob," Pebble Pete shouted from the sidelines. "It's a bubble blast." BubbleBob was engulfed in a whirl of bubbles, losing his direction as he struggled to see through the cloud. Finnegan laughed from up ahead, his dirty trick having given him the lead. "That sneaky eel," Ivan muttered, adjusting his monocle in disapproval. "I've got an idea," Pete whispered excitedly. "I'll swim ahead and scope out a shortcut for Bob. Maybe he can avoid Finnegan's bubble traps." "Excellent notion, old friends," said Ivan, a glint of excitement in his eye. "And I'll create a diversion that even Finnegan won't see coming." Pebble Pete darted off, using his knowledge of the reef to find a hidden path through the coral, while Inky Ivan swam up alongside Finnegan. In a swift move, Ivan began playing his saxophone, filling the water with soothing jazz notes that drew the attention of the crowd and Finnegan. "Hey, what are you doing?" Finnegan growled, looking around in confusion. "Oh, just adding a bit of class to the race," Ivan replied smoothly as he swam circles around Finnegan, who was momentarily distracted by the impromptu jazz performance. Meanwhile, Pete signaled to BubbleBob from a nearby coral tunnel. "This way, Bob." "Shortcut." BubbleBob beamed, following Pete through the narrow passageway, using his bubble blaster's precise controls to navigate the tight turns. They emerged ahead of Finnegan, who was still trying to shake off Ivan's jazzy distraction. With the finish line in sight, Finnegan snarled and hit his cannon's power switch, sending a torrent of bubbles right at BubbleBob. But BubbleBob, prepared this time, activated his bubble boost and shot forward, dodging the bubbles with ease. "See ya, Finnegan," BubbleBob called back as he zoomed past the last coral arch. With a final push, BubbleBob crossed the finish line, a trail of tiny bubbles floating in his wake. The crowd erupted in cheers as Pebble Pete and Inky Ivan swam over to congratulate him. "You did it, Bob," Pete cheered, giving him a fin bump. Indeed, a flawless performance, Ivan added with a proud nod, tipping his hat. And all with style. Finnegan Fawn slunk over, his bubble cannon sputtering as he glared. You got lucky this time, BubbleBob, he muttered before swimming away in a huff. BubbleBob just laughed, shrugging it off. Luck had nothing to do with it. I've got my friends, my bubble blaster, and plenty bubbles to keep me going. And with that, the trio celebrated their victory, already dreaming of what next year's great bubble race would bring.